Hello and welcome to round one of the HSBC UK Men's National Circuit Series. We're down here in a very busy and bustling Otley tonight for this opening round. This is such a famous city centre race. Everyone wants the coveted win here. And I'm going to back up a little bit because Matt Gibson is here, of course, rolling forward after winning overall last year. What did that win mean overall in the series?
It was good to, after a few years of not really being in contention for much, to be good to prove to myself that I was up there and ready to start being competitive in a national, and then this year trying to be competitive on a world scene.
Absolutely. We had a little chat earlier. We're saying your crit form is a little bit of an unknown. How are you feeling coming in tonight to Otley?
Oh yeah, I'll see how it goes. I won't exert too much early on and see if I've got anything towards the end, but I'll just see how it goes.
And what are the key points on this circuit to look out for tonight?
Obviously, it's always been up towards the front, but that last corner is always a kind of the decisive feature of this course, so always got to try to be up the front for that coming into the sprint.
Brilliant stuff. Can't wait to see you in action. Good luck tonight. And for now, let's join all the race action coming up very shortly in the company of our commentators. Here's James and Hannah.
I don't know about you, Hannah. I'm still trying to get my breath back from that ladies' race. That was phenomenal.
That was phenomenal, wasn't it? Oh. What a race and what a finish. You just didn't know where the win was going to come from.
The great thing about Otley is that it always brings absolutely class racing. I tell you what, we've got a really great hour of racing coming up here. We've got national champion Matt Gibson back in the UK. He's got his jersey on. It's going to be great to see him here because, as far as I'm aware, he's not raced in the UK in his national champs kit so far this year. So no. He's going to be out for the win, I think.
And he even said himself, he doesn't know where his crit form is at, because your crit form and your road form is completely different. He's been racing out in on Pro Continental level with his team Burgos BH, the Portuguese team. Mm-hmm. So he just doesn't know but he's very distinctive. You can see him there on the left-hand side in that white kit with the red, white and blue bands, having a little chat with former teammate Ian Bibby. Madison Genesis.
We can just roll down here. We could see just the previous winners. Obviously, Matt Walls last year was the winner. Chris Lawless doubled it up 2 years in the trot there with Dan McClay, Adam Blythe, guys who went on to be World Tour. Guys who are at the front end, at the big end of bike racing when it comes to the men's aspect.
Yeah, definitely. And you just see where those riders have gone on to. Obviously, Adam Blythe now racing for Lotto Soudal. Been in the World Tour ranks for many years. Dan McClay racing for EF now in the World Tour, and obviously Chris Lawless now with Team Ineos. So you just see where the calibre of riders in this race. Matt Walls, stage winner at the Baby Giro just a couple of weeks ago. The
thing is as well, when it comes to criterium racing, we've got to remember this is the bread and butter of UK racing, and you see it so many times when riders will come back, and this is no disrespect to Matt. I think Matt will actually go really well around here tonight because it's a course that will suit him. It's not overly technical, it's not really tight. As we said so many times, this is a swingers course, big wide open corners, not overly technical, so it's a road form does kind of carry across here quite well. But you could take any World Tour rider and pop them into this bike race and they will get a blooming hard time. As we roll out now for our neutral lap, all the usual nerves and jangling here in the bunch as everyone's just trying to get a bit of space, get to the front, because we know how important it is in criterium racing to be at that pointy edge.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in the men's it's a little less of a nervous start, and kind of everyone's quite happy to let riders just let it settle out a little bit. It was a bit more hectic in the women's, people trying to move up. But obviously I'm not racing the men's race, but I think could speak differently.
Yeah, I think what we've got to remember here is there's a lot of guys who've came back from the national championships who've not really been mixing it at this level, as we've obviously spoke about Matt coming back, but there's riders from all over from the UK now who are actually basing themselves abroad who've came back now, and they've not done much crit racing. But as we said tonight, this is not a pure crit circuit. It's very much a road kind of kermesse style.
Kermesse, I was going to say, yeah.
More of a kermesse style. And just to right what you said earlier on, it's actually a Spanish team, not Portuguese.
Spanish, sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
BH Burgos. It's
Burgos.
Spanish team.
My bad. Close enough.
It's going to be tonight. Is going to be absolutely ripping. As we've seen that in the middle there from Madison Genesis, we've got Ian Bibby with the clear glasses with the white frames there, and in front of him we've got Freddie Sheskas from Vitus Pro Cycling. A lot of big names here tonight, but obviously this is the first round of this. No one's really been gridded apart from obviously the national champion, so all to play for tonight.
Yeah, definitely is. You just see the difference in the glasses that people have opted for. So as you just said, Bibby going for the clear lenses, quite right in my opinion. You might struggle in the first few laps, but actually come the latter stages of the race, it'll work in your favour as opposed to the dark lenses.
I think that's a prime example of the experience that Bibby's got. I mean, he's been double national champion. He's been around cycling a long time, and it's little things like that make the difference, because if anything, it's going to get darker and darker in this top phase. But the thing is, it's a warm night tonight, so I wouldn't be surprised a lot of these glasses get thrown off or stuck up the back of the skin suit halfway through here, because it's going to be a sweaty night in Otley, I think.
Yes, I think it is. Getting a little look there of chat between the riders. Joey Walker on the far side, riding for Madison Genesis, son of Chris Walker, former professional.
What can you say about Chris Walker, eh? An absolute legend of a bike rider.
Yeah.
Obviously, Joey's sister Jessie, who used to race with.
Yeah,
obviously,
used to race with Jessie.
And a family of thoroughbred bike riders, from this neck of the woods. Joey's going to be out to, he's going to be out to win tonight, let's be honest. Madison Genesis, they've got an incredibly strong team here tonight, and only maybe potentially being pushed by Canyon DHB, I think, when it comes to strength and depth. But local lad who's won this race, Scott Thwaites from Vitus Pro Cycling, just waiting confirmation that Scott's actually signed on tonight, but if he has, he'll be out for blood tonight, because he is literally just up the road from here.
It's always nice having a home race, isn't it? And especially when you've got, there's 8 riders that we think have signed on for Vitus Pro Cycling tonight. So when you've got such a strong team around you, including Ed Clancy, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. We just get a little glimpse there of Matt Bostock for Canyon DHB. But yeah, if you're racing on home roads, it just gives you all the boost, and especially because he's won here before. He should know every inch of the course.
We can see there's quite a lot of banter as well between the guys, because they race with each other week in, week out, and it's nice to see. Oh, and I've actually just took a little notice there of a young rider we haven't actually spoke about as yet, Mr. Tom Pidcock.
Another local rider.
He, by the way, is going to be incredibly dangerous tonight. We can see him just a small rider on the right-hand side, behind the rider in the red, with a white helmet, wearing the distinctive blue and red of Team Wiggins Lacall. He's going to be a massive factor tonight. It's going to be 60 minutes of racing, but I tell you what, after about 10 minutes, they're going to hope it was finished.
Yeah, definitely. You just see already, the flag's gone down. It's Canyon DHB already putting down the hammer. Looks like Tom Stewart to me, actually. They're just putting on the hurt. Only Vitus and... I
think it's Francesca's who's with them actually there. And is that... looks like Andy's boyfriend.
Sorry, I said that.
In joke, sorry. But yeah, we can see right away it's very, very explosive racing straight out the gate. There's no one really willing to sit back tonight, because there's so much at stake. It's the first round of the series. Points are in grabs for the first 10. It's really important from a domestic point of view to get as much exposure, but more importantly, this is televised. This gives these teams, the smaller teams, the ones who are not as notorious and not spoken about enough, gives them the opportunity now to be seen on TV and get talked about.
Yeah, definitely. And as we said in the women's race, this is the most prestigious criterium on the calendar, and with this series, there's a lot to hold on for. Also, with the Tour Britain selection that is going on throughout the British, all the British races.
I'm just having a look down my start list here. There's a couple of young lads from Team Inspired. I'm quite interested to see how they go tonight. One in particular is young Joe Nally, from my neck of the woods up in Scotland, and Joe has been showing so much progress this last couple of years. He's had a really, really solid ride at Tour of Yorkshire. He obviously likes Yorkshire. We're in Yorkshire, so Joe's a really, really handy crit rider, really, really handy track rider, former British national champion in a points race.
Yeah.
So he knows his way about a race with this kind of style. So he could be, for me, be an outside bet tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. But it's the rider on the front here. It looks like Pidcock.
Yep, Tom Pidcock's just at the front of the bunch. Yeah, you're absolutely correct there, Hannah. And he's just wanting to be present tonight, isn't he? He's a master of this, though. He's a master of being present and then kind of disappearing a wee bit. He just knows where he needs to be, almost from the point that, he knows his way around a bike race. He's a world-class rider, and more importantly, he's local. He wants to be up there, and he wants to win the Otley Grand Prix. He's won this previously, the support race, when he was just a junior. But most importantly, he wants to back that up. But I tell you what, if you've got any questions or you want to make any comments about what we're talking about tonight and add any questions to us, Don't forget to use the hashtag National Circuit Series, and we will do our best to get back to you and give you some answers for those all-important questions.
Yeah, we certainly will. We had some great questions in the women's race. Just going back to Joe Nally, there's actually only 2 team-inspired riders, which is the men's academy, GB Academy. So Joe Nally and Jim Brown.
You can make them out quite easily as well. They're wearing that quite distinctive British racing green,
yeah, greeny kit. Yeah,
a big deviation for the GB team. They've now went for quite distinctive colours for both the boys and the girls teams, and it's really nice to see a bit of that racing green. 'Cause I don't think you see enough green in the peloton.
I don't think you see it on any or many kits.
The
actually,
only other team's got green shorts is St Pirron, I think, and this looks like Gabs Cooley making a big move up the left hand side. Look at the power of this young lad. He is such a solid bike rider,
he's
isn't
a
he?
unit, isn't he? He's class bike rider, but surprised to me actually to see him going so early in the race. I would have thought, Gabs would have been a rider who would want to go for that sprint in the final, or kind of leave it to the closing stages of the race.
I think maybe he's just seen an opportunity, and maybe again, this first few laps is all about kind of getting a feel for how you are, how your legs are coping, and sometimes a lot of riders do this just to kind of calm their nerves a little bit, because there will be an incredible amount of nerves in that bunch tonight. As I said, there's over 110 or so riders signed on for this. It's a busy peloton. It's a very good circuit for that size of peloton. Not often you get a bunch that size in a circuit race. But you know what? Gabs, to be honest with you, he's a rider he's multifaceted. He can do so many different things in a bike. He can win from solo, he can win a bunch kick, and you can I think that's actually Ian Bibby coming across him. So Bibby's recognised the danger, and he's not letting him get on the road at all, is he?
No, he's not. Former national criterium champion Ian Bibby makes the junction with Gabs Cooley. Gabs Cooley, injection of pace to get on the wheel. This is a strong duo. I can't see this duo getting very far.
No, and there's a fair amount of alarm bells going out at the back of that group there behind us, because we can see it's now splitting into groups here. We've got a small group trying to come across. That looks like the guy who has been absolutely ripping this year, James Shaw from Swift Carbon Pro Racing. He has been such an influential rider this year in the national series on the road, but now this kind of circuit really suits his attributes. He's got a good finish on him. It's lumpy, and you tell you what, I wouldn't like to be taking him with me in that last couple of laps.
No, I agree with you, but he's come back down to this level at the British domestic scene, having ridden 2 years on the World Tour outfit Lotto Soudal, so he's got that wealth of experience and all those World Tour racing kilometres in his legs, and he can read the race so clearly. He's just taken swung out to the right hand side there, taking a look at his companions in this breakaway, takes a little look at them.
Yep. And the thing is, there's actually a really good combination of riders in here from all of the big teams, so that this could be a potential for a move which might actually settle in and potentially get some gap. But then we look at the back, the rider I was just talking about earlier, Joe Nally, on the front of the bunch, just want to keep it in touch. As you look down that line, there's still riders coming around that corner as we see looking down that home straight. Home straight is roughly 300 metres long, so that lets you know just how long that bunch is. And they're not even in a single line yet, so it's, give or take, nose to tail, 500 metres.
Yeah, it's a long way. But this breakaway,
yep,
kind of hitting each other a little bit, kind of not really getting cohesive and working together as such.
I think
Bibby's kind of looking round to.
Bibby's shown an awful lot of will in here. He's very keen to keep this rolling, and as you can see at the back, there's a couple of riders. Looks like maybe that's Cam Jeffers there for some St Pirron in that very distinctive orange with the racing green shorts. As we see now, James Shaw has decided, right, I'm going to go across to this, and this young rider's really good. That's like one of the Zappy Holdsworth riders.
I think this is Reese Wood, another local rider.
Ollie's little brother.
Ollie's little brother.
Yep,
Alistair
class.
Wood's
and absolutely, we spoke about the Walker family earlier, and the Wood family is just as synonymous in the UK with being absolute class bike riders.
Another Yorkshire family with absolute pure class. It's great to see Reese out here on the attack. I'm fairly certain he actually suffered with glandular fever just a couple of years ago, so kind of knocked him out a little bit, but great to see him back here racing strong with Zappy Holdsworth.
Yeah, there's always a potential in that when you're a young rider and you show an awful lot of promise, and he's got a big brother to look up to, and sometimes you want to be just as good as your big brother. Exactly. So obviously he's had a little bit of illness, but no, he looks like he's back to full fitness and full health, and he's not hanging about tonight, is he? It's quite interesting now. That's actually all came back together as we look down the road there. I think there's another rider trying to come across there from Madison Genesis. That looks potentially a little bit like Tom Moses or maybe Joey Walker. I think it's Joey Walker actually just there, as we can see Rob Scott there from moving across to the right hand side, wanting to keep it rolling. I think swiftly followed there by Will Brown at the back there from Rebel Pro Cycling. As we can see, young Wood is not interested in hanging about tonight, is he?
Looks very smooth on the bike, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he's taking a little glance behind him, but very smooth pedalling style and very solid on the bike. But despite the peloton kind of chasing and closing that gap, there's no real one team chasing it and taking it up to chase.
Yeah, it's still a game of chess in the bunch, isn't it? Because, you know, in all honesty, it's still early days. We've still got the best part of 50 minutes of racing still to go in this, and it's a tough old circuit, and the riders from all the bigger teams, Madison, Genesis, etc., they'll be just going like, you know what? We've done this race so many times, we've seen this tactic before, and we've seen it work every now and then, but 90% of the time you'll have a small group within this race, within the men's race, and it'll come back to being a bunch sprint. So, you know, still got plenty of time, got plenty of, you know, riders within that bunch who can come across, but it's just now a bit of a stalemate back in the bunch, because it's all that combination of the right riders going across the moves, and as we can now see, there's a bit of an injection of pace at the front there. It looks like young Charlie Tanfield, quickly followed by the young enigmatic figure of Tom Pidcock. You can just see the combination there. Actually looks like that's young Scott All trying to go across there from Rebel Pro Racing, followed quickly there by Cam Jeffers from St Pirion. So it's a really interesting move now. As young Wood here, he's not interested. He's just decided, I'm going to go out the front, I'm going to put the pace on, and if anyone's coming with me, get on the back.
Come along.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, it's the perfect thing. Even though you can see the pelotons kind of chasing you down, just keep pressing on. Wait for that, you know, a small group to get across to you. Get on the back. Get some recovery. Get some respite. And, you know, you see his like sense of urgency. He's kind of wanting a couple of riders to come across to him.
I think that's
I think this is going to be closed down now.
Yeah, he's kind of teasing the bunch, isn't he, to some respect there, as we can see now the rider from the Ribble Pro Cycling coming through the front there quickly, followed by Rob Scott from Team Wiggins LaColle. It's going to be an interesting combination of racing tonight, because we've got obviously first round of the British Cycling HSBC Circuit Race Series tonight, all to play for that national series. But one man we haven't seen anything of is the national champion. He's floating around at the back, keeping himself quiet, keeping the powder dry, because you know what, if Gibson gets a sniff at this finish with that last lap, there's not going to be many people who are going to come round to win this sprint.
No, there's not going to be many people that can touch him, but you know, we have to remember as well, he's not got any teammates in this race today. He's racing alone, so he's come over for the national championships, and he thought, you know what, why not, while I'm home, I'll stay a few days more, do Otley Grand Prix. He knows it well. Yeah. And it's what, you know, he wants to be able to show off those national champs colours as well. You know, because like you said before, this is the first time this year he will have worn them. And you know, with the national championships looming, he might not be able to defend them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're actually going across to the pit, where I think Becca has actually got Sherry Pridham, the director sportif for Vitus Pro Cycling. She's having a little chat with her in the pitch just now. But it's interesting to see, just as before we go to those pictures, Scott Thwaites there on the left hand side. He's up for the win tonight, as we're going to go across to the pits now with Becca.
In the pits now by Sherry Pridham. We've got all the bikes front of house here. Tell us a bit about the pits. For anyone that hasn't seen behind the scenes, what are you thinking about at this point in the race?
Canting the riders through, making sure that, you know, you can see every single one safely through, and then just making sure, keep checking on where, you know, the bikes are behind in case you need to do a quick bike change, really.
Very strong team out there tonight. Feeling confident?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to come to these races with optimism and be positive. But anything can happen. Strong team, and yeah, we take each race as it comes.
And I imagine there's plenty of nights where nothing happens in the pits, and others it all happens when it's very unexpected.
I'm saying nothing.
Sherry, we'll let you focus. Thank you so much.
Always very interesting to get the story from the pits, because the pits is such an integral part of this kind of racing, because that's where the majority of the information is coming from to the riders, just to let them know what's happening. Is there anyone in danger? What's the time gaps to the front? But I'm really excited to actually see the rider in second place there, young Ben Turner, cyclocross rider. He has been at obviously the leading edge, riding for Corendon Circus. You know, the feeder team for that team, which is you know, one of the most famous bike riders in the world rides for that team, a guy by the name of potentially, Mathieu van der Poel.
Yeah.
And it's great to see Ben getting involved, because obviously he's not been in the UK doing an awful lot of racing. He's in the pre-season phase of his training now, before he gets ready to go back across to Belgium and the lowlands for the cyclocross seasons. We see a big season attack there by, looks like Tom Stewart once more, quickly followed there again by, looks like Tom Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah, local rider Moses. He'll be all over this tonight, that's for sure. You can see he's quite keen and pressing on, just a little look over his shoulder.
Chris Sheriff's just on the wheel of Moses. So both riders actually quite local. Sheriff's from Lancashire. Yep. Moses just down the road in Keighley.
And the thing is, these guys will ride week in, week out with each other, whether it's in the racing scene or whether it's the training groups or the chain gang. So they'll have a good idea about who's on form and who's not on form. You know, it doesn't take much time for news to get around about who's going good locally. And you know, the thing is with Yorkshire is that the strength and depth is huge. And we see there's a slight gap here appearing with this little group of 5. And in this group, you've got young Tom Pidcock, followed by, it looks like, the wily old dog Stephen Lampier. Yep, it's floating in the back there. We've got 2 riders here from Ribble Pro Cycling. It looks like Will Brown's just tagged on the back there as well.
Is it Ed Hopper, from Ribble Pro Cycling, along with Chris Sherris. So 2 from the same team.
Pidcock's really keen to get this moving. He's really keen to get this moving. As you see at the back, the alarm bells are going as Vitus Pro Cycling have put a man on the front to pull that back. Quickly followed by the looks of, looks like potentially Swift Pro Carbon Cycling, trying to get across, but Mosey's again back on the front. He is prepared to drive this. It's going to be interesting to see if anyone comes across this, but the gaps, it's ebbing and flowing, Hannah.
Yeah, it's just, you know, those riders back in the peloton, they know they've missed this one. They know it's a dangerous move, especially having Moses in there. Pidcock was obviously quite confident because he knows he probably could outsprint all of those riders in that breakaway, so he was quite keen to keep it moving. But all back together now as they make this descent going towards the finish line once again.
The thing is with Tom Pidcock is he's so multifaceted. He can win alone from 5 laps out, or he can win the bunch sprint. You know, he's got so many different strings to his bow, and you know, and he can pretty much do what he wants when he wants, and that's always a very, very dangerous adversary to have in a bike race because he's so unpredictable, and you have to sometimes use your whole team to beat him. And
he's so confident. I mean, everything he does, the way he rides his bike, he's just got confidence, you know, oozing out of him. As we see Ryder now just attack from the front.
What's that, Matt Bostock, is it?
Rob Scott not liking that move there for the Team Wiggins rider. Trying to close that down. Of course, Rob Scott, former under-23 road race champion.
Yeah, he's a powerful young lad, isn't he? As we can see the bunches slowly pulling back. But it's interesting to see that tonight Canyon DHB are very, very keen to look at breakaway. We already had quite a lot of action them off the top of the race. We've already had at the front, we just had with Charlie Tanfield on the front pushing away, and straight away the first attack of the night pretty much came from Tom Stewart, and he's been pretty present for most of this first 10-15 minutes of racing. So as we can see on the right hand side, that looks like Joey Walker's willing to give this another nudge.
Yeah, Madison, Genesis, all these big teams are very, very keen to try and split this race. They're not liking, you know, the size of the peloton. They just kind of want to whittle it down. Tanfield, just look at his style. Easy does it, just closing the gap nice and gently.
So easy. It looks absolutely effortless, doesn't it? And it's not until you actually look down the line of riders and you see some of those faces, you realise how blooming fast they're going up here.
I think as well, you can tell the difference of the cadence of Charlie Tanfield. He's always spinning the gear. He's not pushing a big gear, you know, when he wants to. He's trying to just save that energy and not waste his legs and rip his legs off.
Again, this is another strong move, and it looks like Joey Walker again, along with Tanfield, that does not want to go up the road. I'm telling you that right now, because they will disappear very, very quickly if you're not paying attention.
And having 3 riders in a breakaway is perfect. You know, sort of everyone is kind of going for that podium position as well. So it's in everyone's best interest to work together and try and, you know, get away. But actually some of the big teams have missed this move now.
But I tell you what, the road has been filled. On the left hand side there was predominantly Canyon DHB riders just filling the road, not letting anyone get through, and it looks like there's a rider trying to come across there from wheelbase. But to be honest with you, I think it's stacked against it with this little trio off the front.
Yeah, definitely. But he's making good inroads to this group of 3 though. Peloton aren't chasing the lone rider there in the fluorescent helmet and fluorescent bike. Takes a little look over the shoulder.
I think as though when Charlie Tanfield's on the front of a group, you're always going to be up against it, and you can just see how smooth he is. He's giving a little signal there to the motorbike camera to get out of the way because I'm coming through as he
just
overtakes the camera.
Speed.
See the difference in the gap that he took out of Joey Walker around that corner, and Walker is no slouch going round corners, I tell you that.
Yeah, that was really impressive. You just saw the little the flick of the hand saying to the motorbike, move out of the way, but because he knows how fast he can corner. Joey Walker actually having to do a bit of chasing now to try and get onto the back of the wheel of Charlie Tanfield.
Yeah, Tanfield's incredibly good at this kind of effort. Really, really, really aero. As you can see, that crouch position, getting his head down towards his handlebars, getting those shoulders rolled in, getting the hands up as well, just trying to eke out every aero advantage that he can. And just as we said earlier, that wheelbase rider doesn't look like they're making any inroads. As it on the front of the bunch, it looks like Rob Scott has got to do the lion's share of the work now to bring this back for his team leader, Tom Pidcock.
I have to say, Joey Walker on the corners doesn't look as comfortable as he usually does. Just looks a little bit kind of, he's holding back a bit.
Yeah, potentially.
Not quite sure what that...
As we get a nice close-up here at Tanfield, just look how smooth he is. Obviously that back, he's eking out gaps here, and he's just showing how strong he is at this point of the race is really, really impressive, because to be honest with you, he's the kind of guy you don't want to get. If you look down the road, that must be about 15, maybe 25 seconds as the bunch just comes across the zebra crossing behind us. As he's looking over, he knows he's not silly. He knows he needs to help. He wants to get these riders to get him as close to the finish, because the only way he can win is solo. He wants to go solo, 1 lap to go, cross that line with a big gap between him and the next rider.
Yeah, and also I think, Joey and the fellow companion in this breakaway, they need to really keep a close eye on Charlie Tanfield. You see the rider at the back there struggling with the pace a little bit, just is keen to let Charlie just get in the wheel of Joey Walker there. But they need to watch out, because the gap is opening up to that peloton greatly now, and the peloton aren't going to know if Joey and if Joey's dropped, for instance. Madison Genesis aren't going to know that actually Joey isn't with Charlie anymore and Charlie's solo. So it's a really dangerous move. You really need to keep an eye on him. And you see he gets into this aero tuck now, resting his hands on his bars.
I tell you what, there looks like there's been a big reaction back at the bunch. As you can see, a rider trying to come across there. It was really difficult to get the numbers just now, as we've got the front-facing camera looking at this breakaway of 3. Apologies to the rider who is with Tanfield and Joey Walker. We haven't managed to quite get your number yet, but we will shout him out as soon as we get it. As we see in the background now, again, the bunch is ebbing and flowing. As we can see, we're lapping riders already, Hannah. This is unbelievable.
It just shows how hard this race is, how hard the course is to be already lapping riders. But with a field of more than 110 riders, it's inevitable.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, unfortunately, there's going to be some guys in there who are local and just want to get the experience of racing with the pros. But when the pros turn on the show, it's a very, very different game to your local kind of circuit race or local road race. But I mean, the guys in this breakaway are absolute quality. There's 2 riders there. Obviously, the more established teams, as we said already, the 3rd rider, we're still waiting to get confirmation of his number and his name.
Charlie Tanfield is a world champion on the track as well in the team pursuit from last year. So it's just the caliber of these riders. Joey Walker also, European champion in the points race as a junior. So the caliber is very, very high in this breakaway.
I think it's also important to point out here that this breakaway is only 3 riders. The rider who is tacked on the back there, number 44, he isn't actually part of this breakaway. He's a rider which has been lapped, and now we have confirmation of the 3 riders there in the front. So Tanfield, Walker and Bogue from Wold Top The Edge Racing Team. Done some ride, that lad, to get in that group, I tell you.
That is incredible. And he's helping them out, and this is perfect. Like I said before, they've got 3 riders in this front group. Joey just driving on the front now in this in the red kit. They're all going to be on podium.
Yeah.
Should they stay away, it's all in their best interest to work together, give it everything, because Canyon don't need to chase.
No.
They have one of the stronger teams on the start list today, as do Madison Genesis, have a very strong team. So it's the likes of Wiggins and Vitus Pro Cycling, who have misses, and as well Swift Carbon Pro Cycling.
They need to get organised. They need to get organised now. As you see again, it's Ben turning on the front as a Canyon DHB rider slowly moves his way to the front and just eases off the pedals once more. The thing here with this group is that from here, Walker for me is the fastest rider, so Madison Genesis are going to be very happy with that. But again, Canyon DHB, he's only going to be able to beat Charlie Tanfield in the sprint if he's with him at the finish. But Tanfield is such a strong rider when he's solo.
And I think we just saw then as well how fast Charlie was able to take that corner and put so much, he must have put 3 or 4 bike links into Joey into that one corner. So should he want to, attack with half a lap to go, Joey's really going to have to be on the ball and on his game to not let Charlie Tanfield get away, because as you said, I think Joey will be the fastest in this group.
I mean, he's a big unit. I mean, Charlie's a big unit. I mean, he's way over 6 foot, and it's very unusual for a rider of that height to be so nimble on the bike and so confident to throw the bike around the corners. Usually it's more the rider of the calibre of like a Graham Briggs, sort of small squat rider, roughly 5 foot, who's really, really low and really, 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 really fast. Maybe potentially a bit bigger than 5 foot, but you know what I'm coming at. But as we look back at the background, it looks like Scott Thwaites has decided, I'm bringing this back, and it's great to see Thwaites back at the front of a bike race, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I've ran a bad crash last year. Great to see him back at the pointy end, the sharp end of a bike race.
Just at the weekend, obviously, he was up there mixing it up with the guys he used to race week in, week out with, but unfortunately he's had to come down that level due to injury and due to illness. Fortunately been thrown a lifeline by Vitus Pro Cycling and Cherie Pridham's team there. And tonight he's going to try and pay them back for that. The confidence in him and giving them that opportunity to still be in bike racing, but more importantly, back at the pointy end.
Yeah, definitely. And Scott closing that gap. Then he is strong enough to do so. He's ridden some of the best bike races in the world, and it's in his best interest too as well, because he's such a strong sprinter. We've just not been able to see that strength that as much this year. But I think, he's coming, and you can see race on race that he's getting better and stronger and getting, sort of back into the swing of things after that crash.
Yeah, because it's a big change, kind of the format of the racing compared to racing the classics or the semi-classics or a Grand Tour, because it's a very different style of racing in the UK. Scott, luckily, this was his bread and butter as a young rider, and he was very, very dominant when he was racing here in the UK with Enduro racing. And he's been a massive for this area especially. It's another pro rider who's on the right hand side. Looks like Mouldy's making a move, and that's a really good move there by John Mould from Madison Genesis. Straight away you can see the alarm bells going with Canyon DHB realising that they need to be on the back of this, they need to be represented, they need to shut this down.
Yeah, big attack there by John Mould. You could see we've not seen him at all race. He's just been lurking at the back. As soon as he gets to the front, full gas into that attack. Bit between his teeth now, and he's one of the best Criterion riders in the country, I'd say.
Yeah, this is very much a John Mould move. He'll just wait, and then just as a little lull, he'll just pounce. He's a very good rider tactically. He's very, very capable on multiple circuits. He's one of the most winningest Criterion riders in the UK. I think the only crit he hasn't won in the UK is potentially the National Championships, which is not too far away, and maybe Otley as well. But tonight he's got a chance to actually put this one to bed. But look at the gap he's got already, and Mouldy's not, again, like Tanfield is a rider you don't want to let get too much of a gap between you and the bunch. No,
and I think the thing with Mouldy is that he can sprint and he can win from solo breakaways, and he can, sort of get into those breaks. I think he came second behind Dan McLean in 2015 here, so he's been close, but he's just not managed to get that win here. Yeah. And as you say, he's been on the podium, I think, for the last 3 years, maybe 4 years in the National Crit Championship, just not been able to quite get the win. But
yeah, he's a seasoned podium, representation for any team that he's riding for. If he's not won the race, he's definitely been on the podium of pretty much every one of this style of race in the UK. And we can see just in the background there's a little bit of disorganisation. There's a few teams trying to come to the fore. Canyon DHB, you can see there with the blue jerseys and the white helmets trying to get back. Tell you what, there's a rider you don't want to go up the road. It's Fonzie Downing, Russell Downing, giving it big licks up here. A really, really distinctive kick. Really, really impressive. Followed again by another wily dog, Stephen Lampier from St Pirion. This is an interesting move, and it looks like just behind them is that Jacob Scott? Yep, that's a really good group this is actually. Tom Stewart's looking to try and come across this. You see Cameron Jeffers there in the orange top with the racing green shorts, just trying to let a gap go, but they need to be really careful because this is a really good move.
Great to see Russ back at the front of the bike race. Obviously racing on his own now. He's not with a team.
He's definitely in the twilight of his career, but he's not in the twilight physically. I tell you, the Downing family are synonymous with being absolute pure bike racers, and I had the pleasure of being teammates with both him and his brother Dean, and the minute they put a number on their back, they're absolute savages.
Yeah, Russ is another one. I don't think there's many races in the UK that he hasn't won or been on the podium.
Or won twice.
Yeah, exactly. Now Lampier unleashes his attack. Looks like Tom Moses there trying to get on his wheel.
And I guess Pete Williams as well trying to come across there along with Tom Stewart. All the big teams now are getting in about each other. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens as we move into 10 laps to go. As we can now see, there's a bit of a stalemate here, but we've actually got Becca across in the pits with the team director, Tim Elvison from Canyon DHB, as we see another move here going by Gabs Kulig.
And Tim Elvison joins me now. I heard a little bit of a shout out to Tom Stewart there. How much can you communicate from the pits?
We have hand signals that are preset. We rotate it a bit so everyone doesn't learn them, but we have 5 or 6 signals that we can decide if we want to attack, keep the pressure on. It's very difficult, this race. It's very hard to read. you can have a real strong gap like Mouldy just had. It comes back so fast. It's going to need to be the right combination for it to go. I'm not overly bothered if it does or doesn't go. We want to just keep it hard and make sure you've got you're going to have to work to get to the sprint. If it is a sprint, that's not a problem. I think Matt's going pretty well at the minute. So we are able to communicate, and Tom hopefully will know what I've just asked him.
I'm not going to ask you. Charlie, big injection of pace, making it hard, like you say, from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it suits Charlie to keep it moving. He's obviously got that pursuit style. He can ride high FTP for a long time. So it's nicer for him sometimes if it doesn't yo-yo, so he could just keep it good. He's very good at cornering. He's got exceedingly good bike handling. So it keeps other people under pressure if they have to keep chasing him, even if we know it's not really going to go anywhere.
And you've got so many options in your incredibly strong team this year. I mean, it must be quite hard to actually choose who's going to go for what.
Yeah, we're fortunate. We've got a lot of guys going very well. I mean, obviously at the moment I've got a few injuries with Tennant injured and Patton injured and Ryan injured. But I've still got what I consider a good team here. We're a couple of guys down. So we've got a little sickness bug came through the team yesterday. So I've had to pull 2 out last minute. But they'll be fine for Friday. So yeah, we've got a good squad and hopefully we can start strong. But it's a long series, so we've got to look at the bigger picture for this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tim Elvison typically keeping his cards very close to his chest there. A little bit of it, I mean, he just basically, the take-home message from that conversation was that Canyon DHB, they've got that much strength and depth, they can kind of do anything tonight, as we still see here at the front. Joey Walker, he's been so animated tonight already, and he's already just been joined by, looks like young George Wood there from Swift Carbon Pro Racing, and another rider from Ribble Pro Cycling as well.
Yeah, he's been very, very active throughout the whole race. Joey Walker, the rider here on the front, takes a little look behind him. Looks like Chris Sherris has also made the break again for Ribble Pro Cycling, and then George Wood for Swift Carbon Pro Cycling just sits on the back there, lets Joey in.
Yeah, it's great to see Chris Sheriffs again in the moves. He was just in another really, really important move earlier, but now, again, the teams are on the back foot. Vitus Pro Cycling have got to come to the front again, but now there's not an awful lot of cooperation here in this little move, because I think George Wood is actually really, really struggling. He's a bit of a passenger here.
Really, really struggling there. Doesn't look comfortable at all, and he's just see the way he's riding, see his face, and
he is coming back
like
from
that.
a pretty horrendous crash that he had very early on this year in the Klondike GP at the very, very first round. But again, another big move. This looks like the diminutive style of Moses. You can tell here he comes.
So distinctive, isn't it?
He's right over the front of that bike, always on the hoods. That low slung position. An incredible bike handler and an incredibly quick rider, but unfortunately he's not a guy with a big sprint for this race. He needs to be alone in a small group and make sure he's confident of winning that sprint.
Yeah, I mean, last year he was in that breakaway just until the final few laps. So he knows how to get in the breakaway in this race, and he knows he can do it. As long as what we were saying before, it's the right combination of riders, and the teams in the peloton are happy with that combination.
I tell you what, for a combination of riders, this is pretty good as it stands. We've got Moses in there. It looks like we've got again Jacob Scott along with Tom Stewart. And just at the back, another team, it looks like Charlie Tanfield once more. As we can say, we spoke at this already at the top of the show, it gets really dark at this top section. And you know what? Sometimes the darkness gets you out of me.
Vitus.
So it is. Brilliant. This is going to be something else. This is a good breakaway. This is really good breakaway. 2 riders obviously from Canyon DHB. 2 very, very strong riders. 2 who've also been on the attack pretty much since the gun went. Good combination of teams here. Really good combination.
Yeah. Very strong, and I think actually the team that's kind of missed out is Wiggins. Wiggins aren't represented in this front group now. They've missed it. I mean, after being so sort of all over, I think actually that's them trying to just close the gap there. Is that
it looks like Gabs? It looks like it's Gabs Colleague. Yeah, it looks like Gabs Colleague's realised the danger, and right away on the back of him, he's got another Canyon DHB rider just policing that move. So they're very, very keen to obviously break this race up, and the gap now. When you get a guy like Charlie Tanfield, as we said already so many times in the show, when he gets on the front, it's like an absolute motorbike. But it looks like he may have a potential little technical issue there with his chain.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he had a bit of a problem. He's rectified it, but Gabs Cully there chasing down this breakaway. It's a dangerous one. But Rob Scott there just sitting comfortably along with Tom Pidcock from the Team Wiggins Lacole.
Yep. 8 laps to go as we just kind of slid through halfway now in this race. It's getting really, really exciting at the pointy end. Great move here right now with plenty of really strong representation from the majority of the bigger teams. As we said, it's teams likes of now we need to have Wiggins on the front, but they've not got a huge amount of riders there. The big teams are just using their numbers here, and this is perfect for them.
And also, sort of where is the tactic going to come from, Team Wiggins Lacole? Are they going to ride for Gabs, who very, very strong sprinter? Are they going to ride for Pidcock because of his bike handling skills on that last bend, second to none?
I tell you what, it's just the very man who's bringing that back together, just showing how strong he is. He basically brought that back on his own there, Hannah, and that is incredibly impressive from Tom Pidcock. As we said already, he's so many facets to his ability, and he can pretty much do what he wants in circuits like this, can he?
Yeah, he can, and he won the National Criterium Championships when he was a junior, second year junior. I mean, to be able to do that on the course that it was Sheffield. Very, very hard course. It just shows you and tells you what kind of rider he is.
And the course isn't too dissimilar. The characteristics of that course, yes, there's a few more corners, but it's got a decent amount of elevation, a decent amount of speed on it as well. But looking at this move here again, we've got on the right hand side there James Shaw again coming to the front, followed by Moses, followed by Thwaites, followed by Pidcock, and Tanfield's in there too as well. It looks like Bostock's just got on the back as well from Canyon DHB. This is a very, very good move, but the question is, who's going to be pulling it back?
Yeah, looks a little bit like, to me actually, it's the Vitus Pro Cycling team who've just brought this back.
Potentially, it looks again like it's Wood's not interested in hanging about at all tonight, as we see here. Rob Scott straight on the back of him. The elastic is going to snap at some point in the next 2 or 3 laps, I reckon, here, Hannah, because the race is absolutely full tilt right now. Everyone's fully invested in trying to get away here.
And the race hasn't, really sat up for a long period of time before the next attackers come. And, we've seen, multiple riders who have, multiple times attacked and been in these breakaways, and shows to me that they're very keen not to take any of those sprinters to the finish.
That gentleman better be very careful with his iPhone, because he might lose that next lap if he pokes it back out of the bunch like that.
A little bit dangerous.
Yeah, it's always great. The thing about cycling is you can get so close to it, but sometimes just a little bit too close. We don't want that. But there we go. Shaw on the left hand side again. Want to keep on piling on the pressure. Quickly followed there by Bostock. Quickly followed there by Thwaites. Just getting into the super tuck there from Thwaites, trying to save a little bit of energy. Stay on the front foot and stay in that little bubble at the front, making sure he's always close to the action at the front, and so he can react to these moves. You can see there's one here going right now. It's absolutely flying around here. 7 laps to go, and we can see just there in the middle in the green, Fonzie Downing. He's still hanging around there. He's still present. He is
still
a man who could be very, very, very dangerous rider. We can see he's just hanging around just outside the ball. Was a big attack here in Madison Genesis. Left hand gutter as we look at them. Ian Bibby straight away. Tanfield straight on the back of him.
Yeah, no one wants to let Ian Bibby get away. Very dangerous rider, and Tanfield is just all over everything. He just gets quickly into that aero position of his, bringing him back.
It's not until you look at the riders around about him you just realise how smooth he is. He's pulling a wee bit of a face now, but you can look at the back there. Ali Slater, again Wood, followed again by young George Wood. This is another move, but it's just, for some reason, these haven't been working. It's either been the combination of not enough willing or the wrong combination of riders, but now we can see Pidcock's just trying to scramble out of the back of this move, and this here right now, Hannah, could be the move of the night. It's looking pretty promising.
Yeah, with all the teams represented there, definitely. I think it's Wiggins though who missed out again.
No, I think Pidcock's just literally latched out the back on that last corner. Yep. You could just see him, he was scrambling up the last bit of the drag just as he pulled left there to come back on themselves, but Pidcock's made his way across to this front move, and this is a very, very good move. As you can see, it's getting really, really dark at this part of the circuit, which we spoke about earlier. Old dogs, no new tricks. Ian Bibby, clear lenses. Lots of riders now will come through that section, and they pretty much won't be able to see a single thing. As I look back in the background, Russell Downing's making a move to come across to this. Here he comes, just over the brow of that hill. You can just see him in the back in the luminous green. Here he comes. Here comes Fonzie Downing. What an effort! If he gets across to this could be your race-winning effort.
Another rider, I think, didn't actually do the National Road Championships on Sunday, from memory. So another rider, sort of more fresher legs in comparison to the rest of the field. How's this going to help him
I tell you what, he's made
bloody
light
good
work
job.
of that gap, considering the company he's just came across a bit. That typical style of Russ Down, pretty much chewing the stem off his handlebars when he's getting really low like that. But again, another really dangerous rider who packs a really good punch and a really rip-roaring sprint. So there's a lot to be said for this group. There's a lot of dynamic differences between the riders who've only got one trick, but riders in here who've got several tricks, and one of them is at the back, third from the back, Ian Bibby. He's a wily fox, is Bibby.
Yeah, he can do it all, and also, you know, even though he's very slight, he's got a very, very strong sprint on him as well. But there's a couple of riders in here who I think are just struggling a little bit. George Wood and Ali Slater. Ali Slater doesn't look as comfortable as he usually does. He's usually, you know, right at home in these kind of breakaways, but just doesn't look.
Reece Wood's doing a great ride here. He's not looking round. He's willing. They've almost out of sight around that corner. But obviously, some messages got forward to Canon DHB that they're not happy with that move, and it looks like they're trying to ping a ride across. And look who it is, Reece's brother, Ollie Wood's coming across.
Yeah, they're not happy with that breakaway composition.
I think it comes
Only
down
having
to
Charlie Tanfield in there.
I think it comes down to the rule: if you can't win from that break, you either don't ride or we're pulling it back. Simple as that. He's in the company he's in right now. He's not going to beat Pidcock, he's not going to beat Bibby, and he's definitely not going to beat Russ Downer in a sprint. The only way that Tanfield can win from here is solo. Literally, he has to hit them with 2 laps to go. He has got the ability. He's a rider of that calibre. He's got that power, and it's his kind of effort. But he has to be really careful now. And Canyon DHB might have to reshuffle the team plan.
I think for Canyon DHB, instead of trying to sort of ping Ollie over, because it is a big ask, and you know, with only 6 laps to go now, it's a big ask to do. And when he gets there, you know, if he doesn't make it, then the breakaway have got a bigger gap. Actually, the probably best bet is for, you know, Tanfield just to sit on the back of this group. Canyon sort of work to bring it back, and then sort of send a rider off the front and kind of create a new break that they're happy with, or keep tabs on what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, if you've got any questions or any comments regarding tonight's racing, please feel free to get in touch with us on Twitter with the hashtag National Circuit Series. It's been an electrifying night of racing. First, the women's race. God, it took us about 10 minutes to recover from that, and now this is an absolutely rip-roaring event again. As we see again, George Wood, he's kind of maybe went through a little bit of a bad patch midway through the ride, but now he's
seems
back.
to come good. Huh?
He has, looks like he has definitely come good, but there's a little bit disorganisation. You can see in the background there's a few more riders. The front of the bunches became a lot more linear, which tells me that the speed is up in the bunch. But Bibby is giving it big licks. He's want to keep this group away because he knows that he's got a really good chance of winning this bike race.
Yeah, and he's also, you know, got a good chance of winning from different scenarios. You know, so should this front group split again, or, you know, if Charlie Tanfield does go, he can go with him. He's got the strength and endurance to go with him, and the speed, but then he's also got the sprint at the end to try and beat him.
You see
Pidcock
there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, few people looking around now, kind of trying to make
nonchalant. And the thing is as well, we're getting to that point now where it's coming up now for 5 laps to go, and everyone's going to start thinking about how they're going to start winning this bike race. You know, you've got riders in here who've only got a few tricks up the sleeve, some with several tricks up the sleeve, so it's just about when you use your magic bullets and when you make those moves. But again, at the back of the bunch, there'll be alarm bells going left, right and centre, because there's guys in here who they know can't win from this group. Tanfield needs to go solo. George Wood potentially also needs to go solo, but when you look at the back of this group, it's jam-packed with sprinters. Ali Slater, really, really quick. Bibby, lightning. You know, Russ Downing, getting on in years. You know, he's the oldest guy in this group at 40. I think he's nearly 41 next year, so he's been around the block a fair bit, knows exactly what he has to do in a situation like this, showing the willing to ride. But most importantly, Pidcock's still there. He showed a little bit of a nonchalance there at the top of the climb, having a look around saying, guys, like, come on, I'm not even trying here.
Yeah, so much confidence, but the gap now around 16 seconds, 17 seconds to this chase group. Peloton a little bit more eager now, trying to bring it back.
Yeah, it looked like it was Rebel Pro Cycling on the front. They're trying to bring it back for their sprinter, but the thing is here is that they're not getting any help because all of the bigger teams are representing. It's all basically on their shoulders. No one's going to help them. St Piran potentially might help them, but as you can now look up to the front here, good representation from all of the big teams. Ultimately, what's going to happen back in that bunch, if they are happy with this selection, they're just going to fill the road, they're going to block, they're going to really make sure this group survives to the end.
And I do think the only teams that will be 100% happy with this combination and composition of riders will be Madison Genesis and the Wiggins-LaColle team. See, gap open there.
Yep.
Bibby and Tanfield got a couple of bike lengths.
This is where you need to
George
be really
Wood
careful.
sits up and you kind of want someone else to come round and close the gap, but Ali Slater says no, you do it.
Yeah, you're at that point. There's a lot of foxing, a lot of finessing. They're trying to see, have a little look, kind of see in behind those sunglasses, kind of see any little bit of weakness in any of these riders. Trying to remember all their tells. That we can see now is that they get lit up from behind from the headlights of the motorbike. Just shows you how dark it gets up here in this top section. The thing is with this now is that it's all about race winning. Russ Downing's now got the potential here to play the card that I'm here on my own. I'm not riding. You're from the bigger teams. You do it. And Tanfield now is slipping to the back. I think he's just trying to gather himself. I think he's gathered himself, and I think Tanfield's going to have a go in the next lap or two.
But I think Pidcock's very wise to that, because he's just looked around and just looked at him and thought, come on, mate.
Absolutely.
What are you doing? Why are you leaving such a gap and you're not following the wheels? Definitely keeping an eye on each other, waiting for that attack from Charlie Tanfield of Canyon DHB.
He's a master tactician, and at number 34, just at the back, the small figure with the red across his back. Multiple world champion across multiple disciplines. One of the only riders this year in the cyclocross season who could actually keep up with Mathieu van der Poel, which I tell you something, there are not many people who can do that. And he shows so much more experience above his years. I mean, he's been racing bikes pretty much since he could balance, I'm pretty sure, but you can see all that coming to fruition, and one thing's for sure, he is the real deal.
Yeah, he certainly is. Such a bright future ahead of him, and looking at the results that he's achieved so far already in his short career, he's must be only 19, 20 years old. Incredible results behind him. He's
got a huge career ahead of him, to be honest with you. I think he can pretty much turn his hand to anything that he wants. He's got so many options, and an important thing to watch here now is that he's now putting the pressure on. He knows where he has to ride. He just senses it naturally. It's almost like he's got a sixth sense for racing, that he knows that we need to keep the pressure on here. We slowed down too much. Let's pile the pressure back on. As you can see at the back there, Ali Slater has lost a fair few bike lengths, and it looks now that Vitus Pro Cycling have decided to come to the fore, because Slater's obviously gave a signal to the pits that I ain't having this tonight. I've not got it. Send up the boys. Time to bring it back.
And I think when you've got Scott Thwaites, Ali Slater's teammate, in that bunch, top sprinter. I think if Ali's not feeling great, and actually Ali's not the best sprinter in that front group anyway, very wise decision shouted and called there by Sherry Pridham.
Another big, really strong rider in that team is also Chris Latham, who, if you want someone to lead you out, he is the man. He punches a massive hole in the air. He's super fast, and he's a big boss of the bunch. He's a lad who you don't really mess with, and he's definitely someone that you want to shuttle you through that bunch and get you to the front for that lead out. But now we can see it's kind of bunching up a little bit at the front here. Is down, and again senses that the pace has went down. We need to keep pushing, boys, as he pulls off his glasses, because the sun has officially set.
It's getting much darker now as that gap shrinks to around 10 seconds.
Again,
it's not going in the favour of this breakaway, is it?
No, and this happens so many times on this circuit. A breakaway looks like it's going to go, it's perfect situation, and then suddenly there's a big acceleration in a bunch, a little bit of non-cohesion in the front, and then it's all back together again. So, yeah, it's tantalising just now, but Vitus really need to commit to this now, because they've no longer got a ride on this move, and they need to bring that back within the next couple of laps.
So, Jimmy, you're a former winner here back in 2007. If you were in this situation now, and your team wasn't in this breakaway, and you're kind of thinking, do you panic? Do you sort of bring them back immediately and get the brake back and sort of stay on the front for the remainder of the race and do a huge lead out for the last 3 laps, or how would you play it?
I think the nature of this circuit allows you to actually let them dangle a little bit, because it's got big long straights, and you can really, it's not as technical as most circuit races are. You can really let them dangle and then just try and do a big rush towards that last half lap, ideally catching them on this section here. But again, it's been an hour of furious racing. It's really hard to, unfortunately the year that I did when we won from a breakaway, it was a small breakaway of roughly this size, and I had a couple of teammates in there with James Taylor, and the selection was great. But again, it's a very similar situation, this, where suddenly you've got 15 seconds, you've got 20 seconds, you've got 10 seconds, but until they bring this back, this is still the front of the race, so they need to get themselves together, and they need to be bringing this back within the next 2 laps. If you can see, they're doing a good job of it, but they need to be very careful. They have to bring it back a little bit of a time, 5 seconds every lap, just hold them, because the minute that comes back together, it's gun-ho for more attacks, and that puts them back on the back foot again, and you don't want to spend all your pennies before those last couple of laps, because they need every single man they've got for that last couple of laps.
And should Vitus Pro Cycling bring this break back, what would be their next move? To carry on riding on the front, or to sort of sit up and look to the other teams?
They need to ride timber, but if you look back now here at the pictures, we've got Scott Flates on the front himself doing the job, so it's maybe Flates is just feeling super strong, and you've got 4 riders there sitting in place, just perfectly poised for a perfect lead out, but Bibby's not willing to give this up. He's still pushing. You can see just George Wood there all over the bike, just trying to hold the wheel, and it's splitting to bits here, as we can see Charlie Tanfield sliding at the back. Now this is getting even more dangerous for that bunch. Canyon DHB need to be paying attention on this home straight, and to look up the road and need to see the gaps that are appearing, because if Tanfield doesn't stay with this group, they need to help, they need to bring it back. But it was interesting to see Flates on the front there, as I think there's maybe a move coming over the top there, and that looks like Mouldy.
Yeah, well,
No, it's Matt Holmes.
Inside the final 3 laps now. Madison Genesis have swung another rider to the front. He's about to catch the breakaway, go straight past them. No one has any response to that.
This is a typical trademark Matt Holmes move. And if anyone watches these bike races, you can tell Matt by that signature left elbow with the black band around it. He's one of those where he almost takes that guy's bag off his back with his head there as he took that corner as tightly as he could as he comes out in this back straight now. Holmes is a rider where he can really do a great effort of this kind of distance, 10 to 15 minutes, full gas, and as you look back there, he's got already 5 to 10 seconds on that bunch. And again, the onus is now going to fall back now onto the other teams. Madison Genesis have now got a free ride, they've got their sprinters in the group, they can now look after John Mould, who, as we said, has been so close many times in this event. He can sit back, he can look after himself. Moses is in there. You've also got now Vitus are going to have to get back on the front, DHB are going to have to get on the front, and now it's going to be a race of lead-out trains trying to outfox each other for this last lap.
Yeah, and Matt Holmes, very punchy rider, actually suits this course very well. He's a good climber, but he's better on these climbs where it's just short and sharp.
Yep.
I'd say he's very, it suits his strengths.
Yeah, he's really strong, man, in this kind of situation. He's the guy you've always got in a breakaway. Him and Tom Stewart are always in the breakaways in every kind of race in the UK. Whether it's the Tour of Yorkshire, whether it's the National Road Series, or here in the British Circuit Race Series, Holmes is an absolute racer. Lacks a sprint, which is exactly why he's off the front right now. But if you look in the background, he's almost out of sight as he takes this left hand as he now drops back into the town centre of Otley. Be interesting to get a time check just after that corner as they come round past the white safety van. Holmes out of the saddle, giving it full bore, getting it at the aero tuck as he's got roughly 8 seconds now. We've made it on our clock. Getting low, getting aero, trying to save energy because he knows that before he takes this left-hander, he's got a left and right, then it's back up the climb to the top of the circuit.
For me, just Matt needs to, it's all right kind of looking behind, seeing where everyone is, but just
commit,
head down, don't look behind you. You've got a very, very strong team behind you in the sense of Moses, Bibby, Mould, but it's Vitus Pro Cycling again, coming into 2 laps to go, giving it everything they got, but it's very bizarre to me that Scott Thwaites is that rider that's doing all the work here.
For me, I think they're maybe riding for Latham or Sheskas, but who's right behind them? Tom Pidcock just sitting there, and he's just always in the right place. He's phenomenal how he can just read a race so well for a rider who is so young. He's so impressive.
He seems to just kind of float around the peloton very, very easily, and I think as well he's such a good wheel to follow because he always knows where to be. He's tactically astute. Actually, riders, you gain that respect, so riders actually let you in front because actually they want your wheel. You are the wanted wheel. But he's just always in the right place at the right time. Yeah,
you can see now the bunch, everyone's kind of getting a bit wider again. Everyone's kind of looking at each other because they can sense that Holmes is just going to dangle there. Showing the shoulders beginning to rock a little bit, looking over the shoulder a little bit more, and now this is going to be a race of lead-out trains. It's all about who's going to time this right and who's got the most firepower in this last few laps.
Surprising to me just to see Matt kind of sit up so early. You've got his teammates on the front here now. Madison Genesis are the team forming their lead-out train.
This is
Vitus Pro Cycling, straight behind them.
Yep, exactly. So these are the 2 teams that are now going to have to take control of this race. They just need to be careful because they have to use the right riders here. So if you use one of your fast lead-out men or you run out of riders before you get to your fast lead-out men, you're pretty much on the back foot and you're going to have to do it all over again. And
John Dibben.
And of all the people you want on the front, Dibben is one of those guys, because look at this, the shape of this bunch, it's in one big long straight line. Dibben, who has just came back to UK domestic racing, having taken a step back from riding with Team Sky for the last couple of years, he is an absolute powerhouse, and he is the man who I think is going to set this up perfectly for Madison Genesis.
He's an absolute machine. You know, a couple of years ago he won that time trial at the Amgen Tour of California. He's a good pursuit rider, he's a good team pursuit rider. You know, he's so strong and he can ride on the front for long periods of time. So, you know, we've got a lap and a half to go now, but actually works perfectly for Madison Genesis.
Yeah, and straight on the back of him he's got his teammate there, Tom Mosey's, just ahead of what looks like Chris Latham there from Vitus Pro Cycling, followed again by Tom Pidcock. So everyone's kind of lining up here. The race right now is really in that bunch of riders who are probably about 5 to 10 riders back, just waiting, ready to pounce for when the moment's right, and the timing of it's really important. You'll start to see the teams now gathering together. Look for all the helmets, all the white helmets of Canyon DHB, all the blue helmets of Madison Genesis, and the black helmets of Vitus Pro Cycling. This is going to be an absolute sprint royale, or could there be a cheeky little attack in that last lap?
Yeah, it's all going to come down to the wire, isn't it? I would like to see some more of the riders from Madison Genesis kind of in that lead out. There's only Moses behind Dibben. Still got one lap to go now. Latham just sitting comfortably, the tall, rangy rider. Pidcock comfortable, followed by Ollie Wood by the looks of things on the wheel of Pidcock.
You can just see Mould there lying about 10 riders back, obviously the second rider in place there. We've got two options here now for Madison Genesis. Dibben could pull out the line and Moses could hit them, allowing straight away for Latham has to then chase, which then puts Pidcock too far forward, which means then the riders in that second line at the back, as you see Canyon DHB now are making a move up the right hand side. They've got together and they're going to start pulling their sprinter up.
Can I just say, what a ride by John Dibben there, what a pull for him. Moses takes over from John Dibben. It's going to be full gas into this. And
it's an absolute fight now. He got on the back of Tom Mosey's wheel, as we can see in second place there. Chris Latham, Jonathan Mould just kind of elbowed his way in there just in front of Tom Pidcock. This is going to be an absolutely scintillating finish. We can see just there, 5 or 6 riders back, Canyon DHB trying to get organised. But the man we haven't seen tonight, Matt Gibson, is just sitting right on the back of that Canyon DHB train. Just on his inside there is Russell Downing with a luminous green kit. This is all going to be about this last corner, Hannah, and once again it is going to be absolutely nail-biting.
And as we saw in the women's race, Jess Roberts won, but actually at this moment in time in the race she was around 10th, 11th wheel. Now, have Madison Genesis led this out too early? Because as soon as Moses pulls off, it's going to be down to Latham. Latham's not going to want to lead this out because he wants to sprint. So it will be those riders that are on that second row who are going to be able to come to the fore and come to the front.
You can just see on his shoulder there in the luminous green jersey there, on his right shoulder, our left as we look at the race, Matt Gibson just sitting there with the white jersey with the red purple helmet, just waiting to pounce. And Gibson, I'm telling you, if he gets round this corner in first and second, it's in the bag for the national champion. But it's all about timing. You need to make sure you're hitting the front at the right time. As you can see, there's a massive rush coming on down all into this road.
Swift Carbon Pro Cycling really giving it some now on the left hand side in the white kit. Definitely Jake Scott is there, and I think James Shaw is there as well.
It's a big fight for this.
Starting to sit up and ease up a little bit.
It's
but
a big fight for this corner, and this is where it's all about being brave and just trusting your bike handling and trusting the guys around about you are going to stay upright, because now it's roughly 500 metres to this finishing line, 300 of which are predominantly downhill at a gradient of roughly 10 to 15%. As you can see, it's a race to this final corner. On the right hand side there, Downing trying to get in there. On the left hand side we can see the young riders there from Team Achieve. Looks like Joe Nally trying to slide in there. Tom Pidcock knows he needs to be in this corner first to second. Who's it going to be? It's Downing on the outside. Pidcock, is there enough room to get around that corner? Downing comes down. Big crash there from Russell Downing. As we look to the front, we've got Pidcock, and then whoa, that was an incredibly fast finish. We need to look at the photo for that, because it looked like it could be a photo finish, but a big crash there from Russell Downing. Really sad to see that. First into the corner.
So close, him and Pidcock. Pidcock actually sort of lost it a little bit going into that corner, corrected himself, but Rustani just went wide on that. Matt Bostock looking behind.
I think
he thinks he won that.
I think the best part of this is the fact that Russell was the only rider that went down there, because in the last 100 metres or so of the race, as you can see here, Pidcock comes round the outside, big bomb up the outside. It looks like, yep, Russell's just having to brake so hard there. You can see his front wheel wash out, and then straight at the barriers. He knows what's coming, straight down. But so lucky that no one else came down right on top of him. Really lucky. As we look forward to the sprint here, Looks like a big lunch of line. It looks like the rider from Canyon DHB shaking his head, but I'm telling you what, that is really close. We need to see the photo. Let's see. Oh, I think he got
very
it.
Very close. To me, it looks like Matt Bostock took it from Pidcock, and Reese Wood, who was active all race.
Yep.
Definitely taking a third place there. Great result for the young rider from Zappy Holdsworth.
Yeah, but most importantly, Russell Downing is up on his feet, talking to the race directors there, making sure that he is okay. Bike looks like it's probably seen better days, but he's a tough old cookie as Russ. Doesn't bounce as well as he used to, but no, it's been a.
We hope nothing, nothing too serious. Look, Russ does look okay.
But again,
it's so unfortunate, going into that last corner. But
as we say, really lucky that it was only Russ that came down, But again, kudos to Tom Pidcock. He knew he wasn't going to get upside of Russ, and Russ was not going to let him get up the inside, so he knew I had to go around the outside here. And you carry a lot more speed around the outside sometimes in corners like that because it is such a wide corner. But obviously, Russ was maybe not aware of that, and then he got caught out, unfortunately. But yeah, going to be interesting to see who has actually won this bike. It was such a close finish between Bostock and Tom Pidcock, wasn't it?
It was a very close race, and could have all come down to carnage on that last bend, but such a close sprint despite that, because Bostock, he didn't lose any of his speed from the crash. We've sort of seen it. Your initial reaction when you see a crash happen is to brake and try and avoid it, but actually carried all that speed around the corner. And really came back to Pidcock.
Yeah, we could see it again. You could just see the speed wobble there by Russ. He's just on the brakes, full gas, and unfortunately, looks like his front wheel lost a heck of a lot of traction coming around there. But as you say there, Reese Wood, great ride by him tonight. From Zappy's Holdsworth, he's been in the action all night. 2 or 3 breakaways, and now up there in the bunch kick ahead of riders the calibre of, in particular, the national champion.
Yeah, you can just see the national
Gibson,
champion on the left-hand side as we get another glimpse of that photo finish.
Okay, we're now going to go across to Tom Pidcock.
Tom, I'm going to just dive straight in here. That looked like such a big fight out there tonight. Talk us through those closing laps.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough race actually, and we're in a move off the front, and but yeah, then Vitus were chasing us. We weren't working that well together, to be honest, and we came back. So yeah, I just went all in for that corner, and ended up going around the outside of Russ, and I think he crashed, but I don't know.
Looked that way, yeah.
Yeah, so I hope he's all right, but yeah, it's pretty good that.
Yeah, it's pretty good that. And what does it mean in front of these crowds here in Otley?
Yeah. Obviously, I've never won the elite race before, so tonight I was saying tonight's the night you need to win. Last year I was just off the front of the race, just smashing myself, but I came here to win today.
Congratulations, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Straight away, Hannah, you know just how important this race is when a rider of the calibre of Tom Pidcock says, I want to come back here this year and I wanted to win this. But let's talk about that sprint race. We still haven't got an official result yet.
Yeah, so he could have taken it.
He seems pretty confident, but again, the reaction of Bostock when he crossed the line shaking his head, I don't know. It's still in the balance with me. I think Bostock may have potentially got it. As you look here from head on, it's a good angle, but Bostock just throws just there. And oh man,
it's close.
That is incredibly close. After the line, Bostock is absolutely carrying more speed, obviously, but there he's got it. But that's after the line. This is the issue we have, so we have to obviously rely on the photo finish camera. But no, a really tight finish, and what a dramatic finish as well. We said it was going to come down to a bunch sprint. As Tom mentioned there in his little post-race interview there, that the group was working, but not working quite as well as it could. And then obviously it was all about Vitus pulling them back. Great to see Scott Flates involved again, but unfortunately it never fell into their hands at all tonight. And obviously Matt Gibson, he was there or thereabouts, but again, just the timing of it. I think, the thing is with this race, as we know, and as Russell Downing knows perfectly fine now, that you have to be first or second around that corner. The race is to that last corner, and it either works for you or it doesn't. For Pidcock tonight, it worked out. Downing, not so much, but he's a tough old cookie, as I've said, Russ, but he'll be back. He looked like he was fine, but we're still waiting for that result.
Yeah, it was a real shame actually to see Russ crash out, because it would have been nice for him to see him back on a podium at least. He's lone rider, had a great ride today. Just a few races not really gone his way.
He's just also came back from a bit of injury as well. So as we see this here, he just gets caught. He doesn't actually get caught on the wrong side of the wheel, and it's not really, to be honest with you, it's a racing incident. It's no one's real fault there. I think just Russ got maybe a little bit spooked you can see he had got spooked because he straightened his arms right away around the corner, and the last thing you want to do when you're going around a corner full gas is straighten your arms because you lose all your traction. But again, we look at this head-on shot. Too close to call.
Whose lunge was the best to take them to victory?
For me, Bostock, his timing was perfect. As we've seen, as he came through the line, he was in front. But again, it's about that black line. It's not about after the line or before it. It's that black line which is the defining point. And we're not going to know until we see either a graphic or we see some side-on photo finish pictures of it.
I think this is what the great thing about criterium racing is. It's so close, it's so fast, it's so furious, and it's not stop. It's just full gas until the line, and it's suspense the whole time.
And we just have had confirmation. The winner of the race is Matt Bostock from Canyon DHB. So that lunge, as we've just been talking about, was so important. And that's an aspect that these guys are pure racers, but it's something that you should really practice. No matter if you're an amateur or just a weekend warrior, practice doing a bike lunge, because that can be the difference between, as we've seen here tonight, winning the race and being second. Simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, you kind of also comes from the track background as well. Matt Bostock, was formerly on the Great Britain Academy, and it comes from that bunch racing, scratch race, points race, Madison, where you have to lunge for all the points you can get and for the race. And I think it just comes with experience as well, Jimmy. To know that just everything after the line, you can't actually go any faster. You can't put any more effort into it. Yeah. It's just that lunge is the last little bit that you can give.
You're just trying to eke it out, aren't you? Because it's called the finish line for a reason, isn't it? But that's the thing, is that Bostock has been showing some incredible form over the last couple of weeks. He's been going, he's been so impressive, and it's really good to see him tonight. Not official yet, we've not seen it on a graphic, but we have been told via our comms that Bostock took the win. But it's great for him now, and also great for Canyon DHB. They're still continuing this very, very rich vein of form, and they're being dominant this year.
I think as well, like you saw them tonight, they were all over all the moves. So every breakaway that went, more or less, they had a rider there. They were very aware of everything that was going around them, and Charlie Tanfield played a blinder. He knew he wasn't going to win those sprints, but he was always there in the breakaway and driving it.
Here he is. Here's Matt Bostock.
Start by saying apologies sincerely, because we were looking at that photo finish. We dived in with Tom there. Talk us through that sprint, and evidently you've now taken the victory here.
Yeah, it was. It's quite a dangerous last lap, to be honest. It's quite a hard course. Like, if you're on the front, you sort of feel like you're going backwards all the time in the wind, and then you can come from the back and go forward. So there's quite a lot of chopping at the front. And just into the last corner, Tom, he tried a bit of not a dive bomb, the opposite. He tried to go around him, and I think Russ overcooked it. I'm not sure, but he went wide, and I sort of sat up a bit. I thought they were going to crash, and then I went, and then I was running at Tom. I was sort of running that road. It's not long to the finish, and I just rolled him on the line, so I'm buzzing.
Yeah, and it looked like you were having a little chat with him just then.
Yeah, I was just saying, I thought he was going down. I'm not sure he stayed up, and then, as I said, it was really close, and I thought I was running out of road, but I just got him.
I just saw you having a chat with Tim and the team. What does this win mean?
Oh, it's great. I think Tim always wants to win. He's probably disappointed it's not a 1-2-3, but it's just a great start to the series, really. We're trying to do well in it, so there's nothing better than a win to start it off.
Congratulations, thank you so much.
Well, just looking at that, Tim said before that he's got a good team here tonight, but maybe not some of the other stronger riders are out with injury, likes of Tennant and Payton. He can't be disappointed with that. If he thinks brilliant ride by Bostock and brilliant ride by the whole team as a whole, the way they came together and they rode together.
It's the thing for me is that when you have a rider like Matt Bostock, he gets the opportunity and you step up to it. I mean, you don't often get those opportunities when you have riders the calibre of your Andy Tennants and your Pattons, etc. Because that team is just multifaceted. But the most important part of this is Matt's a young rider, not scared to take on responsibility. And today he took on the responsibility and he's came away with a win. And for me, that is a massive, massive step forward for him in his young career. And it's great to see two young guys going at it at the front.
You just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, that podium potentially could be the youngest podium we've seen at this race.
I think you may
as a trio.
I think they may all be under 20, 21. That's pretty impressive.
Very good, isn't it?
If only Russ had made it around that corner, it could have been a totally different dynamic. But we won't dwell on that too much. If we get any more updates about Russell Downing, we will let you guys know. But from the scene we've seen, that he looked like he was up on his feet, talking and able to walk. So no major damage, and it looked like he didn't actually come away with too much skin loss.
No.
I think the bike got the brunt of it more importantly. But yeah, a great race. Again, both races tonight have been fantastic. It's been really, really dynamic racing, and it's really, really good for me now to see two very different, two very separate races. But now we get to see the winners of the podium prizes for the women's race.
Taking the second place riding for the brother UK on form, it is Rebecca Durrell.
And here we see Bex Durrell come out here. One of the absolute legends on the left-hand side of British cycling there.
But taking the top spot, riding the 4, Team Breeze, your race winner.
And here comes your winner.
2019 Vincent Mason, Otley Women's Grand Prix, Jessica Roberts.
Jess Roberts taking the win. So that's back-to-back wins for Team Breeze at the Otley Grand Prix. And it's fantastic to see again a very young podium with a lot of promise.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, it's it was a strongly fought victory for Jess. Big battle between, you know, the Team Breeze and Brother UK Tifosi. Vela Performance just maybe didn't get it right on the night, but still came away with the podium. I think
as well for me it's so refreshing to see real racing. For so many times the women's racing has lacked that strength and depth, it's lacked the numbers, but tonight we had the best part of 80 women take to the line tonight, and as we said before, it wasn't so long ago that the women's race was just piled in with the men's race here, and now you've got a standalone race where, you know, some of the best riders in the world coming to town centres and getting in amongst it and racing their own individual series, and that is a massive step forward for the sport. I think it's great. It's really exciting racing to watch, I think. We can see now they're all looking tentatively at each other, just wondering who's going to get the champagne and who's going to spray it over who.
When you think about it, you know, 2011, the women were racing in with the men, and, you know, now such a strong field. I think it's probably the strongest field we've seen. And it's become a real, like, you know, post-nationals race that everyone, you know, they're going to carry that form from the national road race, which took place on Sunday, carry it into Otley. Prestigious race to win. As he uncorked the champagne now.
As I said, it's the champagne of criteriums, and you're about to see some champagne right now. Brilliant to see that. The victors get the spoils, and as we see, the usual dignitaries hide behind the in the back of the podium, just so they don't get sprayed. But you can just see the camaraderie between these girls, because they race with each other week in, week out, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it's bike racing. You know, that they're still friends at the end of the day, and, you know, when they put numbers on, they're at war with each other, but the numbers come off and everyone's good mates, and there's great camaraderie in both the male and the female fields. It's a really nice scene to see, and more importantly, it's really, really nice to see women's racing on the up in the UK. For me, that's the big take home from tonight.
Yeah, and I just think if you see how the race was raced, it was full gas, you know, from the start. You know, there's multiple attacks. And, you know, the strength and depth, you know, from junior riders still mixing it up there with the elites in, you know, the final few laps. I think it just shows, you know, the talent is still there, it's still coming through, and it, you know, is coming through.
And then we have our men's podium coming up now. Man on the mic is Matt Payne, who is a long-time serving man on the mic with British Cycling. Always does a fantastic job of keeping the crowds all G'd up. And here we can see the most aggressive rider tonight. And now the new series leader as well. So not all lost tonight for a Vela Performance.
Like we said before, I think, you know, they can look back on tonight's race, you know, look at the couple of mistakes they made in that final couple of laps, and again, just, you know, better it for the next round. You know, like I say, it's not all won lost. They do lead the individual standings.
Absolutely, we're just waiting just to corral the riders in the back of the podium truck. Matt's doing a fantastic job of filling the crowd in about all the information, all the action. But again, if you've got any comments about tonight, don't be scared to get involved. Get hashtag National Circuit Series. Ping your questions across, and let's get some momentum behind this new women's series as well as the long-established men's series. I think it's really, really great to have these outlets to express your comments and get your questions asked live and on air.
Yeah, and I think it's it's an opportunity if you've ever had a question where you think, I don't actually know the answer to that, and I don't know who to ask and who could answer it. Send it in, and also for next time, tune in. We can get some answers from some of the pros as well. In the meantime,
It's the power of social media. It's a fantastic tool when it's used properly.
Great.
That's for sure. But yep, there we go. There's our winner, Matt Bostock, coming. As all three of the riders from the podium kind of enter from the front. They've been told to hide round the back for the surprise. I'm not even too sure that the crowd actually know who's won the race yet, so they'll potentially be thinking that Tom Pidcock's walked away with this just to be surprised at the last minute with a different name to be announced.
They'd have been happy with a Yorkshireman winning, but it's the Manxman who's upset the spoils.
Yep. Great to see, as you say, so much young talent involved tonight, and every single one of these riders, they raced all night. It wasn't like one of them just sat in and did nothing all night. Pidcock was present all the time. Reese Wood was a major protagonist and one of the biggest established breaks right away at the middle of the race, and then obviously to have the legs to go with another move and then be up there in that bunch sprint. It's maybe took advantage of the chaos, but hey, you've got to be in it to win it, and you've got to take these opportunities.
Also with Reese Wood, he's here as a lone rider. He didn't have any teammates in that peloton tonight. So to be able to do the ride he did and being in all those breakaways and then, sort of still be in the mix at the finish with no lead outs, he was just sort of like surfing the wheels. Fantastic ride from the young Wood.
Yeah, it's great to see a young rider and not be intimidated, because it's quite easily done when it comes to but he comes from a high calibre family of bike riders, and I'm sure the words "just get stuck in" have been uttered in his ear many a time. But it's great, as you said. It's a very young podium. Reese Wood's coming in there, really animating the race today and walking away with third place in the podium, which is for me is, I never even had him on my radar. Potentially his elder brother Ollie from Canyon DHB was a definite option, but Reese wasn't even on my radar at all tonight, but kudos to him.
Yeah, fantastic ride. And not your likely sprinter either.
No, as you'll see when he walks out in a second, he's
very slight, isn't he?
Yes, he's a big, rangy character, is young Mr. Wood. Accepting his flowers from the local dignitaries there. Looks a little bit shell-shocked, not too sure what side to stand on there when it comes to the podium, but hey, sometimes these results come as big surprises to these riders.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, after that, big confidence booster, we'll be seeing more of Reese Wood in the coming crits.
And here comes the man who we thought had taken the win earlier, young Mr. Tom Pidcock from Wiggins Lacall. Looking a little bit disappointed. Tom's not the kind of guy to hide these emotions, and you can tell that there he's a little bit put out by the fact that he's not managed to be in the top of the podium. But that's bike racing. As I said before, the finish line is there for a reason, and just got out-lunged, as they say in the business.
He did.
Good timing by Matt Bostock, and fair play to Tom. He done a massive crazy turn on that last bend and maybe thought he had it in the bag. I'm not too sure if he I wouldn't say he sat up, but Bostock, as he's now coming out now to take the spoils, he all the way to the line, had the free run at it, never did he weigh the chaos, and came out in the win.
Yeah, it was all down to that lunge for Matt Bostock.
Yep, it's great to see this really young podium. Some big smiles on that podium, that's for sure. Matt Bostock's still a little bit shell-shocked, as Reese Woods, I think, from...
I also think actually Pidcock's a little bit shocked he didn't win. I think he thinks, he had it, and to find out he didn't, you can just see his persona. You
can tell it by his demeanour, but he's a winner, and that's demonstrating why he is so successful. He wants to win every time he puts a number on his back, and sometimes you just can't hide your emotions. It's as simple as that. But the most important thing is that he's racing in the UK and he's leading big bike races in Europe. He's winning classics, he's winning World Cups, he's doing everything, but he still comes back and gives races like this. It's due diligence. It would have been great for him to have got the double, having won the support race previously, but unfortunately not tonight. But
champagne showers now.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yep. Wonder who'll be the best at this. I think Tom might have a little one up on people here, but
Reese might be our surprise again.
But no, thank you very much for joining us. We're now going to throw to Becca, who will sign out. Thanks for coming.
Well, that is all we've got time for here in Otley, and what a close fought night of race action it's been in both races. We'll be back live for the next round in Abergavenny as I get a little champagne spray there, and in the meantime you can find out everything you need to know about the Circuit Series over on britishcycling.org.uk, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.